Canelo done something that is amazing when Canelo was able to go to light heavyweight and become light heavyweight champion. Something that I didn't even see him going up that heavy, and he did that.
Canelo lands good punches. I think Canelo could hurt Crawford. Crawford's, first time in that division and jumping 2 divisions.
No way that Terence Crawford, being to me my favorite fighter, the best fighter pound for pound, can be Canelo. A 147 pounder moving up to 68.
Floyd Mayweather shares why Terence Crawford may never conquer Canelo Alvarez, highlighting the heavyweight disadvantage. He reminds us that climbing divisions isn't only about talent, but surviving size, raw power, and stamina at the very top. Canelo has battled naturally larger fighters his entire career, while Crawford now ventures into unfamiliar waters. Mayweather believes that gap could simply be too much for Crawford to bridge, no matter how sharp or brilliant his skills appear inside the ring.
Because of the weight disadvantage. I can't go all the way up to 180 or 190 pounds.
Robert Garcia underlines how Terence Crawford's inexperience at super middleweight creates one of the toughest obstacles of his career. Though Crawford has dazzled across several weight classes, entering Canelo Alvarez's natural territory carries far more risk than past jumps. Garcia explains that Canelo has spent years mastering his craft against naturally bigger opponents, while Crawford still must prove he can keep his sharpness, speed, and stamina at this size. The trainer observes that Crawford's frame hasn't fully adjusted, leaving him less explosive and less fluid than before. This difference could prove decisive against a champion who dominates the division.
Jumping 2 divisions where he only had 1 fight at 154 and didn't look his best either. So there's a lot of questions, about that. And that's why a lot of people think Canelo is going to knock out Crawford. But I'm probably one of the only ones that I do give Crawford a chance. Yeah. I think Crawford could pull it off. Crawford is very talented. He's very fast. He's very smart in the ring. So I think a perfect fight, Crawford could pull off a decision.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think he could win a decision. I don't pick him. I wouldn't put my money on him winning because it's a very dangerous, risky fight, especially with Canelo being so strong. But Canelo's last few performances, he's looked slow, flat-footed, looking for 1 punch at a time. And if that's the Canelo that fights Crawford, Crawford could win a decision. Crawford could outbox him, could outsmart him, could land 3-4 punch combinations and move and win a decision. So do I give Crawford a chance? 100% think Crawford could pull it off. Would I put my money on it? Probably not, but I do give him a chance.
Yeah, good stuff. Look, Robert, appreciate you taking time to speak to me. I appreciate you letting me in the gym today. Always a pleasure. And hopefully be catching up sometime soon.
Thanks
appreciate
for coming.
it. Thank you.
Very
Cheers.
much.
The analyst highlights the monumental stakes surrounding Crawford versus Canelo. He explains that if Crawford can conquer Canelo's size and power, his legacy would rise to unimaginable heights, placing him shoulder to shoulder with Floyd Mayweather in the all-time great debate. Defeating a fighter of Canelo's magnitude would crown Crawford as the pound-for-pound king of his generation, silencing any lingering questions about his record. Yet showbiz reminds us this feat would not erase Mayweather's reign. Instead, it would position Crawford just behind him in history, as Mayweather's unbeaten dominance still stands alone. Still, the opportunity to reach such rare air makes this showdown a defining chapter in boxing lore.
3-time undisputed is insane. If you were to beat Canelo, Terence Crawford, at that point, pound for pound, right under Floyd. Wherever you got Floyd, whatever you got him, Terence Crawford is right behind him. Unless you got him first. Okay, how about me? Because I don't have Floyd in my top 10. I have Pacquiao over Floyd. So I know somebody's about to get moist, but I would put Terence Crawford, man, that's old school. That's Henry Armstrong, Sam Langford. Like that's old. That's Joe Gans and Barbados Joe Walcott and Barbados Joe, not Jersey. I'm Barbados. Like that's old school accomplishments. Man, that's throwback though. I would have to assess that. 3-time undisputed in the 4-belt era, and against who? Yo, that I don't think Pacquiao would have I don't think he achieved anything in a single fight that would be greater than Terence Crawford jumping up 3 weight classes and beating Canelo. I don't think Pacquiao achieved anything in a single fight greater than that. Not in a single fight. Beating Cotto, I still, because Cotto was weight drained. Has Floyd done anything? Well, he beat Canelo.
Jeff Mayweather responds sharply to Canelo Alvarez's claim that Crawford is better than Floyd. To Jeff, such a statement isn't about fact, but more about Canelo trying to raise his own stature through comparison. He points out that since Canelo was clearly beaten by Floyd Mayweather, suggesting Crawford is superior gives Canelo a subtle way of justifying that loss. Jeff admits Crawford is incredibly gifted, yet insists he hasn't reached Floyd's dominance or accomplishments in the sport. For Jeff, Floyd's perfect record and his mastery over world-class rivals stand on their own, and comparisons must wait until Crawford achieves far more.
Well, also if we remember, Canelo at that time was a razor-thin decision. Floyd won, majority decision. C.J. Ross had it with what a lot of people had as a draw, and then the other 2 judges scored it for Floyd, of course. And that was a Floyd at the top of his game with a very green Canelo with very little experience, and he still took him, into deep waters. So
what was Canelo? What, 20-something? 20 what? 23, 25?
Yeah, he was. Very, very young in the game, obviously.
Very young. He had more fights than Floyd, and he lost.
Yeah, but
a man that was 30-something years old, 36.
But Floyd was clearly at the top of his career, and Canelo had fought a lot of people,
How you at the top of your career in your prime? You in your prime? You ain't in your prime when you're at 36. That's not your prime.
Did he lose?
20s.
I mean,
your prime is in your 20s.
It's different for different people.
Yeah, okay. Well, it sure, and that's why Canelo is saying what he's saying.
But don't you?
Want to make himself look like he did something great.
Joel Diaz completely rules out Crawford's chances, pointing to the massive size disparity. He reminds fans that Canelo has gone toe-to-toe with devastating punchers who carried both strength and granite chins. If Canelo could withstand the blows of a fighter like Golovkin, Diaz wonders how Crawford, accustomed to facing men closer to his own weight, could truly to showcase his footwork and angles, slipping away from Canelo's relentless pressure. Yet analysts remind us that Canelo has already proven himself in both small and spacious rings, adapting with equal success each time. While extra room may slightly benefit Crawford, it cannot erase Canelo's power and natural size. In the end, victory will come down to execution, not dimensions.
One of the biggest things in this Canelo-Crawford fight we are not talking about is the ring size. If these guys are fighting in the non-traditional 18 by 18 ring, you're gonna want to put your money on Canelo, guys. It is a big difference. Losing out on that extra 4 feet is gonna be an issue for Crawford. It's still possible. Crawford's talented, he's athletic, he has all the potential in the world to pull off a crazy upset here. No matter the ring size, it don't matter. Terence Crawford's that brilliant, he's that excellent. But I'm gonna tell you, man, losing out on that 4 feet is gonna hurt his odds. It's the same thing with 22 feet. Like I said, I don't know what ring they're going with, but if it is in the 22 feet, it's gonna hurt Canelo's odds by a pretty decent margin. Maybe not as much as it's gonna hurt Crawford odds in the 18, but it's still gonna hurt it. You're giving Crawford an extra 4 feet to pivot, maneuver, slip, bob, weave, do whatever he wants. That's gonna give Canelo some issues. I feel like we're not talking about this enough. I heard Turkey said it was gonna be at 18. That was a really long time ago. Like I said, I don't know if they've confirmed what it's gonna be quite yet, but I think it's interesting. Once we get the official announcement, you guys, that's when you place your bets.
Crawford's commanding victory over Errol Spence has many fans believing he can topple Canelo. That night revealed his timing, adaptability, and merciless finishing touch, erasing every doubt about his supremacy at welterweight. Still, analysts warn that Spence, despite his skill, is not built like the naturally bigger Canelo. They point to Israel Madrimov as sharper comparison. Fighters Crawford has yet to meet. Man with size capable of stretching his limits. Meanwhile, Canelo has already endured such trials, facing opponents even larger and continuing to thrive. The concern is whether Crawford's brilliance at welterweight can truly survive against a powerful super middleweight like Canelo.
Hey y'all, the simple real fact is, Terence Crawford never looked that good fighting anybody but Errol Spence. Another real fact is, y'all put too much on Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford. Y'all act like he just beat fucking Jesus or Thanos or something. Okay, I get it. Errol Spence was that guy. He beat him. He dominated him. He won that fight. But y'all take that and y'all put so much on that fight, but then y'all look at the Madrimov fight and say, he was a tricky fighter. He's hard for anybody. No one can beat Madrimov. He's the second best fighter in the world because he went 12 rounds with Crawford. Not the case. Y'all put too much on the Errol Spence fight and y'all don't put enough on the Madrimov fight. Then we go back to Canelo. Y'all say Canelo, he don't stop nobody. When last time he knocked nobody? If he can't knock out Berlanga, he's not going to knock out. If he can't knock out him, he's not going to knock out Crawford, bruh. Just like Crawford went up to 54 and he couldn't get a knockout, Canelo has gone up to 75. He couldn't knock out Bivol. He went up to 68. And those guys are way bigger. He's fighting guys way bigger than him. Crawford could knock out Madrimov because he's his size. So you think he gonna knock out Canelo? He's bigger than Canelo. Bro, Canelo got a granite chin. I don't know if y'all know the Canelo. The only people who saying that Crawford's gonna knock Canelo out is people who has to be casuals. They probably have not watched a fight since the Tank last fight, or they probably ain't watched a fight since the Errol Spence versus Bud Crawford fight, because I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all niggas didn't even see that Madrimov fight. Y'all just synced it and y'all running with it. Cut it out.
Gabe Rosado looks back on Canelo's defeat to Floyd Mayweather, calling it a turning point in the Mexican star's journey. At that stage, Canelo was still maturing, missing the polish and experience needed to solve a defensive genius like Floyd. Rosado explains that while the loss stung, it became a priceless lesson that molded Canelo into the fighter we see now. Over the years, he has gained confidence, sharpened his craft, and learned to adapt against every style. Rosado believes this growth makes Canelo far more dangerous today, meaning Crawford must face a seasoned, battle-tested version of Alvarez.
Could be too soon for Xander, but who knows, man? I mean, who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you feel like Canelo needed more seasoning when he fought Floyd, or do you think that Floyd just got his number? Period.
I think he was very inexperienced when he fought Floyd. You know, he's a different fighter, but see, everybody's different. That fight is what made Canelo become the fighter that he is today. So, you know, that's why boxing, man, is like when they shame guys for losses, it's like, man, you just got to really see how a fighter bounces back from a loss. It's like, because, you know, when Canelo lost to Floyd, there was a lot of things that Canelo learned in that fight that he added to his game. Next thing you know, Canelo started moving his head and his counters got better and his speed, and he understood timing. He understood how to like break guys down differently because he learned that off Floyd. So I think it was a good learning experience for Canelo. And then, you know, I think that kind of fight is gonna help him in the Crawford fight.
Sebastian Fundora cautions that Crawford may not grasp the full toll of facing Canelo. He explains that life at super middleweight demands more than training. It requires years of adaptation, something Canelo has mastered through experience. The Mexican star has built his legacy by surviving the grind of this division, battling naturally bigger men again and again. Crawford, on the other hand, enters this weight for the very first time, a leap that could drain him both physically and mentally. Fundora believes the aftermath may reveal just how much Crawford sacrificed in challenging a man who rules this domain.
Could be. We'll see what PBC has for us.
Your favorite, Canelo or Crawford?
Canelo, yeah.
What do you think is the most significant part of that matchup in Canelo being Canelo versus Crawford?
That he's comfortable at 168. You know, that he's been fighting there. He went and collected all the belts at that weight class. Crawford, of course, Crawford has a chance. He has a big chance, you know, being one of the pound-for-pound fighters of the world. But it's just the advantage of being there first. You know what to expect in that weight class. Crawford's coming off a 154 fight that he fought last year. So I really don't consider him even a 154. He's been fighting at 147 for a while. He had that one fight at 154. and then he stopped fighting for a year again. So, you know, of course he's probably been training, you know, again, high-class fighter, but to be comfortable at 168, you're gonna have to do some fights in there. And going in there fighting the undisputed champion, it's gonna take a toll.
What about Ennis? He's the new addition to 154. He's yet to fight there. Canelo brought him in camp specifically because he's a switch hitter like Terence Crawford. What do you make of Ennis just not being in your division and then him contributing to Canelo's camp, letting into this fight? Is that a good move?
I think it's good for Canelo's camp to have a fighter like Ennis. Because, yeah, he likes to switch, right-handed, southpaw. I think Canelo probably didn't need that. But, you know, the fact that Ennis went might cause a little bit drama. I think he did for a dramatic effect. But, you know, great fighter at 147. But 154 is a different division. They have me in there, so we'll see what he can do.
Critics often argue over how entertaining Crawford's style is compared to Canelo's. While Crawford dazzles with technical mastery, some feel his bouts lack the explosive moments that grab casual fans. By contrast, Canelo has earned a reputation for delivering pure drama, from knockouts to punishing bodywork and high-stakes showdowns. Even if Crawford triumphs over Canelo, analysts say he wouldn't instantly become boxing's new face. To reach that level, he would need to take on and beat other top names like Dimitri Bivol, proving he can dominate bigger, more dangerous opponents. Only then could he command the same worldwide spotlight Canelo now enjoys.
More nervous, you know, the closer you get, the more outlandish these statements were. We had one outlandish one that his fighting style is not entertaining. Right? Canelo's fighting style is more entertaining than Terence Crawford's. I don't know what lens you're looking through, right? Well, why isn't Terence Crawford's fighting style entertaining? So that's one thing. Well, here's the next one. Now, I don't know. Check this out. They're saying that Terence Crawford won't even be great if he were to defeat Canelo Alvarez. He won't be great if he defeats Canelo Alvarez because all the stuff he's done until now, becoming two-division undisputed, beating a lot of undefeated fighters and a lot of fighters with one loss, seems to not be anything. But even beating Canelo Alvarez, the face of boxing, four-division champion, undisputed super middleweight champion, none of that would matter because they list fighters that he would have to beat to become great. And most of them are fighters that four-division champ, Canelo Alvarez, that he won't fight. He would have to beat Artur Beterbiev, right? Canelo ain't fighting him. He would have to beat Dimitri Bivol, who Canelo won't fight again, definitely at 168 pounds, because he wants to fight him at 175, because he wants to have the excuse that that weight could be too big for him. Dimitri Bivol wants to fight Canelo Alvarez at 168, so he can become two-division undisputed. Canelo doesn't want that. But Crawford has to beat that guy, right? Crawford has to beat David Benavidez as well, right? We know Canelo doesn't want to fight him, but Crawford has to beat him to become great, right? Remember, Canelo's great already. Then he would have to fight David Morrell.
That's a wrap for today's video. Stay with us. Until next time.